right, this is it. This is what you've been waiting for because, I mean, hell, you probably went.
Me or them?
You, I mean, you probably more excited for this movie than even I was. And I've,
And I want to watch it again and again.
let's be honest here, because you probably wouldn't have cared about this movie unless I started taking you through all this stuff because you were hyped. I mean, we only started watching these movies like what, a year or so ago,
Just last year, yeah.
going through all of these, and so
But
now
to be fair, that's probably the original was probably the only one that I have seen on my own. I mean, besides a handful of others, but a small handful.
yeah,
But
other,
that
other than
one,
that, you knew next to
yeah,
nothing about any of it.
yeah.
But now we are finally here to where we can actually go together and actually see on the big screen a Halloween film, and that is Halloween Kills. Of course, very much anticipated by many people. Uh, so after, it's been, of course, a year delayed. I mean, by this point, we would have had Halloween Ends. So we would have had this trilogy wrapped up by now. But of course, due to the pandemic, we had to push it back. So here we are because they wanted to get out in theaters if they could. And they did that, but of course on Peacock as well. But I mean,
Get on the cock.
all right. So
Anyway,
I'll try to keep this review. I guess
semi-spoiler free.
we'll probably do like a half and half. We'll do the first half. We can try to do spoiler free, and then we'll just kind of go into the spoiler territory. So
or we can do a whole nother thing and be like, here's a in-depth dive.
Yeah.
Because I want to watch it again.
Yeah, but for the most part,
yeah.
this is gonna be a spoiler free review. So if you happen to be watching for now, we'll let you know if that's the case. So having gotten out of the film last night at 7 p.m. Okay, the showing. Your initial feelings on this film?
Like when it started,
Well, just
or like
just walking out of it, just general like
afterwards done.
what? Yeah.
Well, I think the tweet that I sent out when we got back to the car, what kind of summed it up. It was like a sort of a Home Alone, the oh my god face.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was crazy.
Okay, now
the bodies hit the floor.
I'll say, because part of the general consensus now is that some people even said that it may not have given you like as many kills as what they ramped it up to be, because there was kind of some sense like, holy shit, like it's gonna be bodies everywhere, and in a sense it was, but it's not. But even then, it wasn't like, it wasn't like all crazy insane. Like he didn't like destroy an entire hospital's worth of people. Like he didn't blow up a hospital.
Well, he very well could have.
It's not like in Jason X, like where he goes to the space station, maybe technically killed hundreds, if not thousands of people or something. It wasn't anything. It wasn't anything like that. But it starts off with Hawkins, him being discovered by Laurie's
Lenny's son.
Yeah, Lenny's son. But of course, even in Halloween 2018, we didn't actually know that Lonnie was actually the father of this kid.
Yeah.
It was
obviously Lonnie.
Yeah, it was the boyfriend. So he discovers Hawkins' body and everything. So we have that little moment, and then that's when we just start jumping right back into the 1978 flashback, and going into the moments where Michael Myers was actually captured and thus set for the events for these future films. And right off the bat, easily I could say that's the best sequence of the movie, is because
doing a flashback,
because just how well it was handled.
Yeah,
it was just handled very, very well. Because something like that, they could easily be very, very hit or miss, and for all of what it was, because they go back to it a couple of times, and because we already kind of knew going into it what the deal would be, that these flashbacks would be in there, but it goes into that whole in-depth thing. It's like, for what it was, it really looked and felt that way. And how do you feel about it?
Well, I want to agree, but obviously back then the cameras were different and things were filmed differently, so definitely has a different feel to it. But
that's the thing you could easily go into, is that it's not like they went back to back to actual film as opposed to digital cameras, which they could have done as like an extra touch. And it's like, yeah, that's one thing. I mean, but even these films in general, like, probably could have gotten a little bit more of that sense feeling of what the original was, maybe as far as subtlety. But but the appreciation aspect as far as like how they were able to actually execute it, made it look and actually made it seem like it was 1978.
Yeah, and where they sort of the time, the moment in time that they chose was after he was shot by Loomis, and then he disappeared. So, and then they are on the foot chase. So the flashback was like the foot chase pursuit, finding him, capturing him, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, because then that bit negates like all the other movies, which
Well, yeah,
I can be okay with. I mean, I like them fine enough, but yeah, that was pretty cool.
yeah. And with having that sequence going, of course, we start off like knowing what we get in the trailers and knowing like so exactly
Mm-hmm.
what's coming is that Michael is coming out of the flames, knowing that he actually escapes the trap that was set up by Lori and her family and everything. So I mean, and as far as like that sequence is like taking out the firefighters, it really is. It's
That
just,
was wicked cool.
I mean, there's not really much more. I mean, you watch the scene itself, and it pretty much. I mean, it speaks for itself as far as just the handling of it. It's just.
Well, I want to preface it by
Mm.
saying when Lori was screaming, "Let him burn," that line there is like awesome. Chef's kiss.
Hmm.
Because I think we're all in her position, or we wanted that to happen because this dude is all kinds of special.
Oh yeah. Michael
But
is certainly special. Okay,
yeah,
that's
the whole firefighter sequence and him coming out of the house in the previews, that was like the coolest damn thing I ever saw. So just watching everything unfold was
yeah. And as you see, like, say
awesome.
he's holding the weapon. Like, see, he's ready to go. Like,
He's
he's
like,
like,
yeah,
it's full.
like
It's like
baseball bat going. "Arr."
it's full on like just like pro wrestler type of thing. He's just like he's
Oh,
coming out. He's just like like I feel like he
that's
almost.
his entrance.
I feel like
His
he
ring
almost should have had
entrance.
like instead of like even Halloween, like he should have had like Stone Cold theme like with the glass shadows like dun, 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 dun. It's like he's just ready to go. He doesn't care.
Well,
So
we can have fun. Go back and like edit that music over top of
yeah,
it
I mean
to
there are
be
people that could do
funny.
it better than not, but yeah,
Mm,
most certainly. So getting to that opening, you get what you expect, and that works very well. And of course, throughout the rest of the film, it's mostly taking place within the hospital, thus like Halloween to the original. And
kind
yeah,
of.
and the whole film basically revolves around the town and the mob mentality, and it's like quite like everyone's on the hunt for Michael. Knowing like once the news breaks out, all the shit that started to occur. I mean, it is basically like the original Halloween because you do have that one moment in Halloween 2 where they're at the Myers house, they're throwing stuff at it, and then that's where Brackett first sees Annie's body and that she's dead and everything. And so it's basically like that sequence, kind of like just ramped up to 100. It's like that's pretty much like the whole expansion of this film and the whole like hospital scene from that film as
Yeah,
well.
from how
And even
condensed
Halloween
it
4, and
was
even
in that
Halloween 4,
hallway.
like
Yeah.
where the police force were like kind of all like taken out, and then so you just kind of have like some of the town folk. So it really is
Oh
all that.
yeah, yeah.
How did you feel about like that whole aspect, and did that all work for you at all?
Well, I was gonna say with how many people were crammed in there, and oh, excuse me. Um, I'm not like afraid of large crowds or confined spaces, like real bad. But that kind of gave me anxiety. I was like, oh my god, I don't want to be trapped. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Because
could
that was
get
a lot of people converging on the hospital.
yeah, I could get that sense. I mean,
With everyone getting hurt, and then I think everyone gathering because they knew Lori was there. So the two things coming together at once was like created this craziness.
Yeah,
And
to be involved with any, like, to have the idea of, like, being involved in any, like, giant mess of, like, mass hysteria with a giant crowd, it's like, that would make anyone feel uneasy, no matter the
Mhm.
circumstances. Like, if people just freaking out and just, like, losing it, you're just stuck in the middle of it. It's like, yeah. And so, with that, it is a bit cluttered in a sense. I mean, some films do stuff like that, but maybe handle it better. Like this film, probably in it. If there was one particular critique, it would probably be like it is maybe a bit overcrowded, and like literally and figuratively in that way. Like maybe if they had found a way to kind of hone that back a little bit, or find a way to kind of maybe utilize that a little bit more, because you do have, because it's not really a lot of focus on Laurie herself. And I would say that this is what I critiqued about Halloween 2 originally, was that Laurie is mostly like laid out, and then so she's not really like that heavily involved and doesn't have like a lot of dialogue, and she just doesn't like. And I get it, like, but at the same time, I still felt like she needed a little bit more kind of happening, and that she technically does more. Like she gets more dialogue, she's a bit more proactive in a sense, but at the same time, she is kind of sidelined a bit for like most of the older like legacy characters. Now, how did you feel about that overall?
Well, I mean, yeah, obviously that kind of sucks with um, having her laid out, but dude, she friggin' had a knife in her gut, and well, the movie makes light of that. So she was all torn up, cut up, tried to get put back together. So there's only so much you can do. 'Cause
Well,
I've
with this
had
lore,
this
you get the sense.
surgery on
I
my
mean,
stomach like
because like
that.
as you
So
see in like the one trailer as well, like she's straight up. She just takes the needle and she's like jabbing her
yeah,
with stuff. It's like, no, I gotta get up and get ready to go.
yeah.
And of course, as we know, it's the return of the Tommy Doyle character, this time played by Anthony Michael Hall, which, I mean, some people would say, like some people even like Paul Rudd. It's like, yeah, Paul Rudd is good. Even though his performance in part six was very odd, but then again, that movie itself is just very odd. I do like the idea of him being that character more, because I do look at him, I do feel he resembles the kid a lot more. And also him just being like a 80s star from that time and having not been in Halloween. Something about seeing Anthony Michael Hall in a Halloween film like now is actually kind of cool. I do feel like maybe his character in this one could have been handled better, especially some of like the older characters. Because I do feel like they don't really get quite the shine that they should have probably have gotten. Like, how did you feel about the utilization of older characters, like him and Lindsay Wallace as
Oh, that
well?
was pretty cool seeing her.
Yeah, because knowing that that's the actual actress from the original.
That I don't think I knew, and I meant to look up to see. But yeah, obviously that is really cool.
Mhm.
I thought she looked kind of familiar.
Yeah, Kyle
But
Richards is, she's been on like with the one of the Real Housewives shows and stuff like that since then, and because the other kid, the original kid, he never really acted, I don't think, much since then. So, so you felt like their utilization. How did you feel about overall? Did you feel like they were used well or not?
um, well, I'd like to think so. I mean, is it a spoiler if I mention the one lady? Because I mean,
Yeah, I mean, if you go too far into, yeah, I mean,
just
she
naming
the
a
the
character
the
or
well, let's just say, like, yeah, one older character in particular.
yeah.
I mean,
I
she
was
gets
surprised.
she gets
No,
nothing.
I wasn't gonna say like what happens. I just wanted to name names.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, well, like, just overall, I feel like she just gets like next to nothing. She's just kind of almost like just there, you
Twice,
know.
three. Well, three times if you want to count the original.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
If you want
technically
to get, if you want
she's
to,
made three appearances, but
yeah, that I was surprised to see that,
hmm
and then obviously how things played out later. Um, yeah, this movie in regards to legacy characters and such was interesting.
hmm
Interesting for sure. Yeah, a couple of faces I didn't anticipate seeing, whether they were the original actor or not, but it was crazy. And then, yeah, the ending. Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
ending
that
is
was
definitely
bananas.
certainly something like, and Well, as far as like kills, like the kills themselves, how did you feel like overall, as far especially by standards of the series as a whole? Did they live?
Uh,
Did they live up to expectations? And
some of them, some of them definitely blew right past them. I mean, I didn't have expectations going into it, aside from it just being a really cool movie and an experience. But yeah, I can't really go into much detail without giving things away. But yeah, some of them are really cool.
yeah,
But in the preview though, the light bulb was shown, right?
yeah. I mean, they
Yeah. Okay.
basically
So
give you the idea of like that whole kill, and I mean, they kind of do in in trailers
like the leading up to it,
in general.
grabs it,
I mean, I'm gonna
smash.
say this, okay?
It was just cool.
As far as the kills for this film, I would say since like the Rob Zombie films,
Ooh.
I will like even probably just some like kind of like slasher or just horror films in general. Like as far as just general kills, especially having gone through all these series of movies again, the film itself overall is not a perfect one, but as far as like the kills and the certain brutality of them, I couldn't help but like actually just feel like a sense of just like intensity with it. Like I couldn't help but actually like
Oh
get a more
shit.
sense feel of the kills, like just a slight like sense of just I don't like it's hard to say because they have the same brutality as like the Rob Zombie films, but this Michael like has that good blend of like the old school and that version to where he has that brutality, but that sense, that pure just sense creepiness to him. And when it comes down to the kill moments in this film in particular,
And the head tilt.
for some reason, like I said, they just hit me in a certain way, Tom, where I'm just like, I
Oh
don't like
snap, y'all.
like I just felt more engaged with it than than most other films. Let's just put it that way.
Hmm.
Like as best
Oh,
I could. It's just
oh,
for
sugar
some
honey iced tea.
for, like just something about them. Like especially like one kill that's like late in the film that took place like at a staircase, like that. I'm
Oh
like fuck,
yeah.
like and also there's also a particular kill which I can appreciate about this film. I
In the
will say,
car.
uh, no, not that one, but there is another kill where you actually kind of like knowing that the series itself, Michael will get his kills, but you may not see like the kill itself, but you might see the aftermath of it, like where he might position a body or leave this there. There is one kill early on involving knives where you actually see Michael being
Oh,
meticulous with his kills and like him actually kind of like performing his art, so to speak, with where he's like leaving
oh, so
it.
it was.
He's leaving
Was
it
that
like how he wants.
the part of the light bulb sequence?
Yeah, it was
Okay,
part of
that
that one.
one.
Like you're literally
I thought you
like
were talking about
watching
the
him,
car.
like you're literally kind of watching him work and just kind of like grabbing this, doing this, and it's like that's like the first time you actually see Michael operating. Like I said, well, you usually see the aftermath, but you actually see him performing and doing this. You
Yeah,
get what I mean? And
yeah, yeah,
that was
yeah.
actually
With
kind of
like the
amusing.
posing and the blah blah blah. So he was literally like doing it. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So with the film itself, I mean, I would say overall, this film leaves me probably more like not exactly sure how to feel about it. Like I feel like this film more than any of the other ones, at least at this point in time, it just struck me as like I'm not sure how to feel about it because it's like there were some like really like good key moments, like visually and just like just the nature of them and just I like the flashback scene. I really like how they did that and like the certain kills in certain particular moments and characters, but maybe like there was mostly maybe the way some things were like executed overall, like as far as the story and just how a lot of it kind of plays out. I'm not exactly sure 100% how to feel because it leaves me very intrigued and just
well, I
like I'm
want to
not sure
see
what
what
to think.
happens because obviously it's gonna end. Something is going to happen, and there's well, I mean,
Yeah, but
obviously
knowing
only so many people left.
yeah, but knowing what we know now, knowing that
Yeah.
since it's been delayed and knowing they're actually going back because it was meant to, I think it just originally just take place the same night again, if I'm not mistaken. But now they've decided to kind of go ahead and make ends like take place within a year or a few years kind of down the line, due to the pushback to
Obviously,
kind
they're
of
gonna
help
have to do like a
have it.
flashback callback to wrap up
So
whatever was
as
at
far
the
as
end
like where
there.
they're gonna go with it overall, I really don't know, and I
I
heard it's
have
supposed to
no
be in
idea.
general a very kind of like different tone than what you usually get with these movies, but I guess we'll just have to leave that for another day. But yeah, all in all, I mean, how did you just feel about like just as a whole, and what would you rate it?
Uh, well, I mean, especially by the end and the end sequence and all that occurred, I was just like staring at it like they did what?
Mm.
And well, I mean, that's why I made the tweet. But anyway, um, I loved it and I wanted to watch it again and just like really like watch and focus, not be distracted by anybody, in the theater. I love going to the theater and seeing things like this, especially, but there were a few distractions and it kind of took me out of it. But thankfully, the movie was loud enough that it kind of drowned that all out.
Yeah.
I had a good time.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like me just like giving a general rate, like I said, I would have to like go into like the spoiler discussion and watch it one more time. But yeah,
Yeah.
but like all in all, like I said, because right now the general consensus is that it is kind of like just kind of down the middle for a lot of people. Like at least a lot of the reviews that I go to, a lot of people are just kind of like very much mixed on various things, and like I definitely get what they're saying, and I kind of feel the same way where it's like, again, because for me it has like so many like really solid elements in place, but I'm not exactly sure as far as the general execution of those elements. And it's very interesting. But like I said, it was like I'm very engaged. I was like I'm really along with it. I had fun, but it's so like it feels like a very dense film in a lot of ways. And it's just because you got so many people, it's like so much going on in a way, and it's like it's just wild. It's just crazy. But it was definitely a fun experience. But I guess we'll just
Yeah, we had the theater laughs and the same kind of reactions like the oh shit sort of moments and stuff. So that was pretty cool.
yeah. I mean,
For sure.
I will say also as well, score on point. Just John Carpenter and his son Cody
Oh
Carpenter
yeah.
coming back and doing it on point. I felt like it was a perfect blend
Oh
of like the old style and the new style of what they did.
well, what we didn't do was the pumpkin in the beginning.
Yeah. As far as like the opening title sequences, the pumpkin thing, it's like
That
yeah, they
the
bring the pumpkin back,
but
but with a twist in a way, And I felt like what, okay, I guess that makes sense. I
my
guess
only
it just kind of
nitpick
makes
is
sense.
it wasn't like the OG pumpkin.
No, but I mean, it's a new film. I mean, it's Halloween Kills. I
I
mean, the
know,
title lives
I
up to,
know.
and
I
and
like
like I
the
said, in
original.
the way that they did the opening, I was like, what, I guess it kind of makes sense. And even just with the music, I have to hear it again, but just like this version of it, it sounds very, uh, like, yeah, pretty much exactly like the original, but of course, just this extra tinge of like what John Carpenter has done to update it, and it is very chilling. I will say that. But yeah, so we'll just leave the review right there, and then we'll go on ahead and just do a more in-depth talk, and of course more future stuff to discuss with that. So we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.